As our journey across Greenland draws toward its final chapter, the ice begins to speak more softly, not through thunder or collapse, but through stillness. Here, at the northern edge of the inhabited world, danger does not always announce itself with noise or speed. Sometimes it arrives gradually, almost invisibly, carried by small changes that accumulate over time. Greenland is often described as extreme, a land of cold, darkness, and isolation. But that description misses its deeper truth. This island is not defined by hostility. It is defined by balance. For thousands of years, ice, ocean, wind, and living beings have negotiated a delicate agreement. Glaciers advanced and retreated, fjords filled and emptied, animals migrated with the seasons. Human communities learned not to dominate this environment, but to read it, to listen to the ice, to watch the sky, to move only when conditions allowed. The Greenland ice sheet, stretching across the heart of the island, is not a frozen monument. It is a dynamic system, flowing slowly toward the sea, compressing centuries of snowfall into layers that preserve Earth's climatic memory. Within this ice are traces of ancient atmospheres, records of volcanic eruptions, temperature shifts, and past warm periods that unfolded long before modern civilization existed. Scientists study these layers not out of curiosity alone, but because Greenland functions as an early signal. Changes that appear here today will shape coastlines, ecosystems, and weather patterns across the planet tomorrow. Along the coast, life continues in close relationship with the sea. Towns rise where fjords provide shelter and access. Fishing boats leave harbor, guided by experience rather than technology alone. Seasonal rhythms still determine when to work, when to travel, and when to wait. In places like Ilulissat, icebergs drift past communities that have watched this movement for generations. What visitors see as spectacle, residents recognize as continuity. Ice calving is not a sign of collapse. It is part of a cycle that has shaped this coastline for millennia. Yet cycles depend on limits. Greenland's ecosystems operate on narrow margins. Arctic summers are brief and intense. Life grows, feeds, and reproduces within a compressed window of light and warmth. Winters demand conservation of energy, of movement, of resources. Nothing here is wasted. Nothing is excessive. Wildlife follows these rules with precision. Polar bears track the advance and retreat of sea ice. Whales migrate vast distances to reach nutrient-rich waters. Musk oxen and Arctic foxes survive by efficiency rather than speed. Each species occupies a specific role within a tightly balanced system. When conditions shift too quickly, adaptation becomes harder. Greenland's remoteness has long protected it from the pressures faced elsewhere, but isolation is no longer absolute. Global demand for resources, increasing accessibility, and expanding tourism introduce new decisions that will shape the island's future as much as ice and wind ever did. The question is not whether Greenland will change. Change is constant here. The question is whether change will respect the limits that allowed life to endure in the first place. In the far northeast, where human presence fades almost entirely, lies one of the planet's last great reference points. Northeast Greenland National Park stretches across a wilderness so vast it defies easy comprehension. No roads cross it, no permanent towns interrupt it. Ice, rock, and sky dominate the horizon. This region exists not for convenience, profit, or spectacle, but for perspective. It shows us what Earth looks like when natural systems operate largely on their own terms, when human influence is minimal, temporary, and restrained. Scientists come here to observe, not to alter. The data gathered in this silence informs models used across the world, helping researchers distinguish natural variation from accelerating change. Indigenous knowledge offers another form of guidance. Long before satellites and sensors, Greenlandic communities understood the importance of restraint. They knew when to hunt, when to wait, and when to leave land untouched. Survival here was never about taking more. It was about knowing enough. In many parts of the modern world, progress is measured by speed and expansion. In Greenland, endurance has always depended on patience. This is not a land that invites conquest. It invites humility. Greenland does not threaten humanity with sudden catastrophe. Its danger is quieter, more subtle. It lies in the possibility that short-term gain will override long-term balance. That convenience will replace caution. That awe will give way to entitlement. We began this journey surrounded by immense forces, towering ice cliffs, endless fjords, oceans that breathe with tides and currents. These forces remind us that Earth is alive, dynamic, and ultimately indifferent to human ambition. But indifference does not mean hostility. It means responsibility flows in only one direction. We cannot control glaciers, storms, or seasons. What we can control is how we move through places like Greenland, whether we arrive as careful observers or careless consumers. Whether we treat cultural landscapes as living heritage or disposable backdrops, whether we see wilderness as a resource to extract or a system to respect. The most important boundary in Greenland is not marked on a map. It is the line between curiosity and entitlement. When that line is crossed, damage does not always appear immediately. It accumulates slowly in thinning ice, altered ecosystems, and cultural erosion that is harder to repair than any glacier. When that line is respected, something remarkable happens. Balance persists. Knowledge is passed forward. And future generations inherit not just stories of what once existed, but living landscapes that still speak. Greenland stands as a reminder that the planet does not need to be conquered to be understood. Sometimes, the most meaningful progress is knowing when to step lightly, when to pause, and when to listen. This world is vast, it is powerful, and in places like Greenland, it is still capable of teaching us how to endure. For now, that choice remains ours.